All right, Christian,
Hey,
how's it going, man? How you
yeah,
doing?
it's going fine. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, man. First of all, thank you
Thanks
very
for
much
having
for
me, man.
taking the time. Yeah, thank you for taking the time today,
No,
man. Awesome.
thank you for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to talk about one's passion and work and film. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. And I am honestly a huge fan. I was so stoked that I was able, to have the opportunity to see the short, and your work in film in general. It's not that it was just, you're not a spring chicken, so to speak, with this stuff. You've been in the film industry for some time now and acting and, and taking on different genre, too. So I'm really excited to dig into all that. But starting out, now being able to see your work, even before your most recent short Escalation. What can you tell us about your earliest memories of going to the theater yourself and seeing, seeing a movie maybe with family or, how that all came about? What's your earliest memory of going to the theater?
Well, honestly, strangely enough, when I was a kid, I wasn't really into like movie theaters or going to the theaters. I started
Okay.
watching movies 3 or 4, very young, action, horror, and I just loved renting them and watching them at home with my dad. So I would be in my
Okay.
room. That was for me the movie experience.
I
I
love that.
discovered the theatrical one when I was maybe 12, 13, so very late, later on.
Okay.
So for me, it
Hmm.
was like out in my secret hideout and just
Yeah.
watch anything that I could get my hands on. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's how you
And
start.
I love that too, as far as with, the opportunity of being able to, to watch movies at home versus a theater, even today, because I feel like there's certain times where, you're in the theater and you kind of almost feel like, what the judgment from the rest of the crowd, whether you're supposed to be laughing or you're supposed to be, oh, in shock, I've always loved the experience of being able to just be at home in my own comfort and take what I can from the feature. So, having that experience early on. What about some, when you're in the rental shop, or picking up movies, some poster art or video cover art? What stands out to you as far as movies that really just pulled you in?
Well, this one, I mean, it's related to me being from Italy. So in Italy, they would used to do like crazy poster art, even like mixing names and images. So first of all, I love renting movies. I miss like the rent out them so much. I wish they would come
Me
back.
too.
I
Me too.
When I was living in China, they actually existed up until 2, 3 years ago. So I could still go there and see all these covers,
Oh,
strangely
wow.
enough. But here, so
Okay.
yeah, that was pretty cool. When I saw them, like, what? Here they still exist. People go and buy this stuff. I was like shocked.
It's
And
awesome.
wise, to go back to your question, in Italy they used to give, for example, a certain name from an American movie, call it like Evil Dead 7. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Evil
Okay. Yeah.
Old House, The House.
Yeah.
So one that really stuck in my mind was it was called The House 7, which was supposed to be the seventh sequel to Evil Dead. Absolutely unrelated horror show with Lance
Yeah.
Henriksen and James. And so the
Yes.
cover of
Okay.
the poster was like the original Evil Dead cover plus a severed hand showing like the name of the killer, like what was the name, Jensen something, serial killer. Nice to meet you. Like Evil Dead 7. What is going on?
Yeah,
And I was
that's so
great.
awesome.
And I actually love the movie. It's not really that loved by the audience as a score. I don't
Hmm.
know if you ever, but I loved it just for that cover. Like it's
That
stuck with.
That's amazing. I love that. And you touching on that too, it's been something even more recently, I would say within maybe like the last like 5 or 10 years, with having movies like that, for instance, there's a company called Severin. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Severin Releases. They do like Blu-ray special edition stuff. It's over here, but I know that they ship, all over the place. But they release some of those movies. They'll release, something it'll say like Terminator 3 or something, and it's completely unrelated to the movie, but just to kind of draw the audience. Or Jaws 5, I have that, for instance. It was a movie that's
Oh,
a
for
shark
real?
movie, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
a kind of quality. I can
yeah,
imagine.
yeah, yeah, and so much fun too. But you're like, you watch it and it's like, this has nothing to do with the other movies.
I mean, here in Italy, they used to do that. Alien. They made Alien 2 on the Earth, sulla Terra, on the Earth. And like,
Okay.
and I go watch it, that nothing's happening. The xenomorphs. I'm like, okay. So,
So with those experiences and having that, tell us about what about at least in the horror genre? I know that you have a wide range of film that you've worked in and interest too, and I love that too. But touching on that, in watching any of these movies, may it be younger or even more recently, has there been a time that it's developed an irrational fear, something that you saw that you hadn't thought of before, and you're seeing it in a movie and you're like, man, that could happen, and that'd be a bad situation to be in.
okay, I think the only fear, but going back to Jaws, you mentioned that fears of
Oh,
sharks, and I think is the only one. Anything else like ghosts and demons. When I was a kid, I used to cover my head when I was sleeping.
okay.
For a movie very very young, but the only like fear that I still have until today is like sharks. I know they're super nice. I love animals. I love sharks, kisses. They're not dangerous, but when
Yeah.
I watch that movie, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna swim like closer to the shore. No, thank you guys. I'm
Yeah.
out. That's the only.
Oh man, I love that. I love that, and I'm right there with you. I think that was probably the first horror movie I had ever saw, and even to this day, if I get to the point in water where I can't feel under my feet, that's where I start kind of trickling back in. I'm like, I'll get a little closer to shore here. I don't like this.
Already.
Yeah, right, right. What about three scenes? We can even go outside of horror with this. Three scenes in film that are forever ingrained in your brain. So I know that you have different work as far as martial arts in film and action films and horror. What are three scenes? May it be something that was shocking, maybe a stunt that you saw that you were just in awe and didn't know how they could pull off. What could you tell us about three scenes off the top of your head there?
Okay, I think like yeah, because I used to work in Asia in martial art movies. In action movies. I'm gonna put an action scene in, starting from this one. Then we go back to horror, and I think it's like the truck chase from Riders of the Lost Ark. The
Oh yeah,
truck chase in that movie was the scene that made me say, I want to do this. How did they make it? Was no CGI. I mean, the stunt double was really going under the truck. And the way it
yeah.
was created, that Jones, he gets smacked out of the truck. He doesn't surrender. He just circle all back, go behind, under, and then smacks the guy. It was awesome. One of the greatest action scenes. And then the stuntman was also Italian, with the Nazi. Sergio
Okay,
Leone, I
yeah.
think.
Okay,
Yeah, so I mean, it stuck with me also for that reason. And then
sure.
going back to horror, I mean, I have very peculiar tastes. I don't know. Like one scene is like Evil Dead. I'm a fan of Evil Dead. I mean, you've seen
Yeah,
Escalation, a lot of Evil Dead in that one.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not horror, it's not gore. It's the scene, I don't know if you remember, when Linda, Ash's girlfriend, get taken out of the window, and Ash is like pokes out with his head and looks right and left, and the camera pans behind him, and you feel so much tension, like something is gonna grab him or a monster gonna come. And that was the first time the camera work was used so like fluidly, following the main character like a video game. And that
Yeah.
scene was so scary. I love that scene. It wasn't expected. Remember that, but that was awesome
Yeah,
for me.
I
And
love that. I love that.
yeah, I mean, it's a great scene. And then I think I go back to Italian movies. Like, I don't know what's the name. It's called Zombie 2 or Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Lucio
Yes.
Fulci movie.
Yep.
The unofficial sequence of that, the eye poking. When I was,
Oh
because
yeah.
when the girls get, dragged down into the fucking, sorry, I don't know if I can curse in
You're
Italian.
good.
We curse a lot.
Yeah.
With the wood, the broken wood, and she got poked in the eye. It was so realistic. I think I was like 6 when I saw that movie, and I was like, how did they do this? How did they make this so painful? Yeah, the camera right beside, and the stick was here, but it looks realistic. It looks like the eyes really exploding. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's still one of those scenes even today, you have that from all of these years later, and all of the different effects and opportunities, for technology today, where you see something like that from so long ago that you're like, man, they just pulled that off. Like that's going to be something that will be untouchable through film. I agree. I love that scene. And mention Evil Dead too. There's so many things with that movie, so many ingredients I feel that really, make that movie effective. And it's not even all the times about, the up in your face, front silly, gory parts or anything like that, as like, kind of the scene that you were mentioning with following the camera work and everything too. So Sam Raimi was ahead of his time in the cinematography on that for sure.
Yeah, it's a great masterpiece because I mean, it gets bored and then it got funnier with the sequel. But the original concept was like, I'm gonna scare the shit out of you, while also be like tongue and funny and gory, but it was scary. I mean, you will laugh,
Yeah.
but you will. Damn it! I don't
Yeah.
want to get the fuck out of here. So,
Right. So where did your transition go from from being a fan to film to actually start working in film? Where maybe early on with friends and maybe making some movies with friends at home or anything something as far as in school. How did that transition come to actually working and seeing a little bit of the behind the scenes there?
I think I mean, many I got crazy childlike mind. So when I was like really young, like 5, 6, I just wanted to be a secret agent or an adventurer or like a demon fighter. I just wanted to be that. Like, oh, this is the
Okay.
job I want to do. Boring jobs. I can do anything dangerous, like a firefighter. Then when I got to like 11 or 12 years old, a little bit more mature, just came naturally. Like I really want to do that kind of job. I really want to enjoy me. That's why I did action first before transition to horror. I just really want to be, hanging on a speeding car. I want to fight people. I want to do all kind of crazy stunts. How do I do that? I knew that movies were movies. Like
Yeah.
a real, detective doesn't do what like James Bond does. Detective work is just like investigation, it's boring in an office. Say, okay, so that's not what I want to do. I want to do what I do. I want to do movies. I'm gonna become an actor. That's how I just transitioned naturally because I want to live. My idea was if I can write adventures or I can like create the things for me are still real. As an actor, they will feel real to me. So I got to be anything I want, everyone I want, and that's how. And then of course, friends start shooting silly horror movie or action movies, and uh, even with my dad. My dad was like super chill because I would bother him so much. Like, Dad, I don't have anybody fighting against me. Can I just beat the crap out of you in an alley? And my dad would go like, just like punch him and try the angles, and he was like fall on this dirty alley, like totally like that's
Jeez, I love that. And so initially, it was acting that you took on, correct? As far as your kind of jump into film, what was acting? What did you take from that first film? That first opportunity. What was something from that you still hold on to today? That maybe the glitz and glamour of film, you initially don't think of, but it was a good learning lesson that you still hold on to working in film.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's like very peculiar because I actually decided to travel to Asia, to China, because I wanted to do martial art movies. So horror and action were on the same level of like my greatest passions, and I chose martial arts. So I moved
Mm.
there. So for me, it was a totally different experience because when I got the first role, and I got also the chance to do the choreography, when I got the first producer trusting me, say, Chris, you're gonna act this, and you're gonna do your own stunts and choreograph the fights. For me, was like it was amazing because in a country where different culture, I was coming, I didn't know anybody. To get to the point when I'm trusted by the people that do this best,
It's
for me was
awesome.
amazing. It was more than like if I had maybe worked in a movie in Italy. That was like okay, that's super awesome, and it added a lot of to the moment. So it was a great
Sure.
experience.
Now, did you have any experience like doing choreography or anything like that? I mean, beforehand, obviously you had like something, in martial arts, but
I trained in martial arts since I was 8. So I
okay.
studied at the beginning. I was just studying to be a martial artist. I was doing competitions, and then when I decided to do movies, and I decided when I was 12 that I would go to China to do martial art films, I start training so many different styles. Not because I want to just beat people in the streets, just because I want to create my own style of choreography. So I do acrobatics, streaking, taekwondo, all these kind of things.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
obviously, I studied acting before moving to China. I took 2 years to study acting. I mean, my theory is when you have like the passion and the drive, you don't really need to study acting or direct, it just comes. But
Oh,
it,
right.
what professional actors or directors think. So I did that, and then before going to China, actually, my dad shoot and a couple of friends. I shot like two short films doing choreography just to showcase what I could do with nothing and no professional stunt guys. I edited them and I moved back to Shanghai. And I moved to Shanghai for the first time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and I've seen some of your behind the scenes stuff, just as far as kind of working on some of the stunts or working on some of the things, and it's always so cool to see those things, to see the behind the scenes of how like a fight works or different things. And I know that you've mentioned Jackie Chan was a early inspiration, right? As far as some of your interest into some of these scenes as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, my main inspirations is absolutely Jackie Chan. Oh, I see Nathan Crooker. You're Christian. I say hi to Nathan Crooker, director of #No Filter, an amazing short. Shout out, we're touring festival
Awesome.
together.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah, I mean Jackie Chan, because many people when they do martial arts, they like Bruce Lee. Obviously, he's the main
Mhm.
guy that into the world. But for
Yeah.
me, it was Jackie Chan because I
Yeah.
loved action, 160 Degrees, of course, Die Hard, the Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and then when I saw Jackie, like it was the first movie I saw him was Super Cop, and he would just hang from
Oh.
helicopters, fighting on like speaking. I was like, this is the guy I want to be like.
Yeah.
I decided to move to Shanghai and try to do what he did.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And I saw something kind of in some of my research here that you had mentioned as far as with your approach with the choreography and including the martial arts, is that you like to incorporate different styles. You like to kind of blend different things and kind of make almost your own. Have you ever gotten? Has there ever been any flack from that where people or somebody who's studied for a long time is like, why don't you just keep with this one thing? Or where did that come from, as far as being special to you and something that you incorporated into your work?
I mean, the thing is like, of course, if you train, there is like, I don't think it's an issue. It's just how martial arts work.
Sure. Okay.
Different way of people think, oh, this is the martial arts. He has to be like this. If it's Wing
Yeah.
Chun, it's not gonna be mixing any high kicks, which
Right.
is correct. I mean, everybody is entitled to, has the right to have his own opinion. In movies, never happens because to create an awesome fight scene, you mix stuff. To create
Mm.
an awesome fight, you have a little bit of kung fu, which has like is not really a style, is many styles together. You have
Sure.
acrobatics. You mix things. So it was pretty easy now that I transitioned to water with Escalation, there is no way. But for my next project, I want to bring what I learned in Asia and what I would do there back into the horror genre. So mixed martial arts and gory fights. I want to make like Jackie
Oh
Chan
man.
freestyle fight scene. So that's my main.
Man, that'd be awesome. I love that. That's so cool. I mean, so kind of moving on from there with Escalation. So I was lucky enough to be able to see the short. Absolutely loved it from that first moment. I was really drawn into it and really wanting to see what I could figure out to get you on. Because I was like, man, I want to talk about this thing. And it's still in festivals, correct? Right now, still making a tour.
Like it's run like in the end of 2021, so the whole 2022 is in festivals. It's gonna be like I have so many lined up. I try to go to as many as I can. So I'm my Midsummer Scream, Houston Horror, Days of the Dead. So July is gonna be packed with festivals. Then
Beautiful.
Ravenheart, people from Ravenheart Film Festival in Norway, like super awesome festival. They're actually watching there live. So we got
Awesome. Awesome.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
Now when I try to keep it in festival as much as I can so people can watch it on the big screen because I made it for the big screen. I mean, I believe
Yeah.
in the.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I agree. And anybody watching, if you have the opportunity, it's making its tours. It is such a fun. It's such a fun. It's it. I hope I know you've kind of mentioned a little bit as far as possibly making it like a feature, and I hope that that happens because this thing was so cool. And I don't want to get into spoilers just in case we have people watching that are wanting to watch it here. But initially this thing, you're the writer, director, producer, cinematography editor. You went all in on this. How does this initially come as far as your next feature that you were going to kind of work on? What was the initial process as far as the thought of the story and how this all started?
Okay, I mean, it's actually a pretty funny story. I tried to make it short, so it's like kind of long. I mean, after working in Shanghai for many years, I'm I'm a very I'm a perfectionist. I like things when they look perfect, they look neat, everything is fine, and so in Asia, not every time everything is perfect. Sometimes they say as long as the action is done properly, then it's fine. Don't worry about cinematography. If it's shit, it's fine.
Hmm.
Or see your connection is low. Can you see me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
So so I got kind of like frustrated after a little bit, and I start asking, could we just like improve on certain aspect of like the filmmaking process? And the
Mm.
answer was like, you're just an actor. What do you know? What do you know? Why do you care?
Uh,
And I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do my own stuff now, and and also to prove everybody that I can do it. I decided I'm
yeah.
gonna just write, direct, do everything myself. So I'm in control. Don't need to argue with people, and and it was also tough on the crew that I used for Escalation. I actually changed 3 different crews because people kept leaving. Like, this
Oh,
guy's crazy.
really?
Why are you shooting? Why so perfect? Can we just move on? And I'm like, no, this shot is like, it's the 40th time we do one shot. Can we just move on? I said, no, do it one more.
Hmm.
So that was the approach. That's why, Escalation, for who hasn't seen it, and but you saw it, it's just like, I said to myself, no budget. I have just me, one location, no money to make a monster or a cool villain. So what do? I create an entity, somebody that you don't see. He's just a
Yeah,
boy that does
yeah.
all the things. So, and that's how I approached the project. And I actually make it into a feature. I got so upset with especially one producer from Shanghai. I sat down and I think in 2 nights I wrote the whole feature of Escalation, like a 200 page,
Oh man.
which is like much more complicated than the short film. Yes, body double, evil clones of the main guy. The gore is over the top, and he ends with a massive action as he fights the real villain of the movie. Couldn't make it. In the beginning of the movie,
Man.
the kitchen scene was just one
Yep.
more bit feature film script. I extended it and made it into Escalation. So it's well, a story that has a beginning and ending, and that's how Escalation was born. And I went all out, do all myself. I got depressed. I got really stressed. People would say, "Hey, Chris," I would just like snap, like, shut up, don't talk to me," because it's so tiring.
Yeah.
Filled
A lot
with
goes into it.
blood. Yeah, they like check the camera because I didn't have anybody. Like, show me, no, do it again, show me again, show me again. It was so stressful. But
Wow. Yeah. So what was the initial scene, that first part that you had filmed for, for the short, that kind of broke ground of, how you were going to be attacking this thing?
actually, the funny thing is that I did try to shoot the feature with the money that I had. So
Oh, really? Okay.
I did try. So if you see in the short, there is like this beautiful mansion this guy lives in, and you see the whole, the living room, the huge, the motorbikes. Because I thought maybe I can make it. So I actually began shooting from the living room, the scene when this guy goes back home, and just like to
Oh.
show to my team, the people that were helping me, getting paid obviously to help me, say, hey, this is gonna look amazing. Look, and so I start doing like my camera movement, following this guy, very mysterious, beautiful cinematography. And then after I say, okay, if I want to make something like this, it's gonna take me so much time. I'm not gonna make it. Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So I had to
Oh,
bring
right.
this to one room. But I saw, the cinematography that I had in mind worked. It looks like a comic book. That was my approach. I wanted to make very colorful, like really heavy
Yeah.
painting. And I say, okay, I can make this. I proved to myself that I could make that happen. Okay, let's go to the kitchen. Let's go to the kitchen scene, because then when whole hell breaks loose, let's do it. The fun
It's so funny, because without giving too much away, it is so clean initially. You see this place, you see, kind of how he has everything set up on the kitchen counter, and he's prepping some food that all looks very clean. I say he, and it's you. I'm forgetting for a second there. But the character Chris, is there, and everything is just very tidy and not looking for any sort of a mess, and that doesn't last very long. Before you know it, all of a sudden the place is ruined. How does something like the practical effects? I know there's a lot of times with or without a budgetary type thing where CGI kind of comes into play versus practical effects. How did that come about for you as far as kind of deciding like this is the route that I would like to go? I don't have the biggest budget for this, but this is an element that we have to have that was absolutely complimentary.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoy it actually, because I knew that I like to kind of to push for new things.
Uh-huh.
So I said, okay, if it becomes like a scary jump scare kind of things, we already saw that. If it becomes something that too much psychological, we already saw that. So I just wanted to give an impression. This guy's just chilling in his house. Everything is so neat. He's perfect. He's an asshole. Just leave me aside. So what can happen that he himself, me as an actor, like, oh, what the hell is going on? 1 minute I'm doing good, and the next minute I'm done. I know I'm gonna die. So I wanted to just like shot the exactly when even the post production people they help me say, I watched this short and in the beginning I don't know what the hell is going on, but then it goes down. I'm like, oh wow, what a ride! That's why the gore, that scene, because I didn't have again big budget to make any massive prosthetics or gore effect. I just really thought like, okay, what is that make people more uncomfortable? Like high damage, high trauma, finger trauma, fingernails. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick one of those. The first one were the fingers and the hand, So I'm going to work around how this guy is going to suffer so much by just using a tiny body part. And if I can hook people to the sport as this, then I won And then I proved that the feature film, when he goes beyond what he's doing to himself in the kitchen,
And then at one moment, it ends up that there's a whole hand in a mouth. I'm not going to say how or what exactly happens there, but is this a practical effect thing as well? Is that like was there a lot more to it than I'm just building it up to, or how did that end up getting shot?
Everything is practical in the sense that like I had prosthetics. The only thing that, because I had a very tiny budget, so I actually found a person in Shanghai. There was a student of Greg Nicotero. He studied with Greg in the US.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Shanghai has his own studio, and I said, I don't have, but can you help me do something that works for this scene? And he said, okay, Chris, just pay for the materials. I'm going to do that for you. The only thing is that I didn't have enough, nor he could give me enough time to make, all the attachments, all the connections to the perfect. So I went to set, a person that was supposed to help me like fixing these things. And it was like, okay, you only have like fake and stuff. You're not gonna make this realistic. And I'm like, I'm not gonna help you. That's what she said. He refused to help me on set. People looking at me like, and I'm like, but you know what? Like if the new Sam Raimi is, but Sam Raimi, Peter Jackson, they made these movies in the 80s, super gory, super realistic. I think I can just leave. Good chill. But by myself, like figuring out how to make the finger breaking scenes, putting like toothpicks inside. Try to make everything look as realistic as possible, because my idea was like, I want to show this. I don't want to shy the horror. You see it in its full. And so fully like just creativity. How can I connect the thumb, the hand? How do I put into like the cutting board stuff? So it was
okay. I mean, and with it being a short too, I think that was something where we're kind of beyond the days of a short just being, maybe a couple of shots or a different. Like this was honestly, it was really impressive and completely just off the wall, over the top, from what I thought it was going to be. Where I was like, oh my god, and I mean, looking at it, I think is it 16 minutes or 17 minutes in total there?
Actually, the version that you saw, which is the festival cut, is like 16 minutes, but the full story is 28.
Oh,
so the
okay, got ya.
Cut I don't think I sent you. You haven't saw it. It's 28 minutes because there is much more like spooky stuff in the beginning, and the gore when all hell breaks loose. I really show you everything. To the point that I even got like some festivals, horror related, that they would say the gore it kind of goes too much to the extreme even for us. Would you
You
just like
mentioned
dream
that.
that? And when they tell me that, like horror, like I guess I made exactly what I wanted. Just
Right.
down. 28 minutes and the festival cut is 16. So it's like I approach it that I mean short films or feature films are films. They are stories.
Right.
So this is like a
Right.
yeah, it's a story. You go in, you live it, and you go out, and you're like, okay, what did I just see?
Yeah, right. What about the villain in the story? I always like some of the small details and having these opportunities to be able to work with people who have created them or have worked on them. The mask, that was something that that we end up seeing both in the apartment as well as in the film that's on the TV playing there. How did that come about? Was that just something that you just kind of found, or did you have to do a lot to kind of alter it from its original style?
The story is like, they found the mask in Scream, Wes Craven, when they were searching for the Scream mask, they couldn't figure it out. They make different versions, and they just got to this shop and they found the ghost face mask, and
Yep.
there's the right
Yep.
mask. Something similar happened. I knew that actually it wasn't even the things that you see on the TV. It wasn't even supposed to be the villain in the feature film. Obviously, it's just something that happens that freaks the guy out.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
short, villain, because he has to come from somewhere. So, and I couldn't just find the right look. I'm like, if he has like, it was a monster mask, he's like a hood or something, how do I make these work? So I just like start scrolling online, looking for different masks. And I'm like, and then I see this clown mask. And I'm like, wow, metal clown mask, this is great because, clowns, they are funny, but many people are scared of them.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
guy is in fun of him. It's like, oh, Chris,
Yeah.
you're so cool. You'll survive. You can make it. So
Yes.
be a clown that is basically make the main character looks like a clown because he was acting like a super
Yeah.
powerful. And then in the end, he gets destroyed by something that he cannot even see. So it was just fun to be the mask. And the mask made it like, then I connected in the living room. Then he has the same mask that you see on the movie. So he's like freaked out what is going on. And I built the whole scene just because I knew that mask would kind of make the villain stand out.
I love that. That's awesome. That is so cool. I love that. And it's some of these things though too, as far as those are always such fun, cool stories to hear. And every once in a while you have people that are like, it was just there. Other people have, they had to alter things and do all this different stuff or pay somebody to create odd, such and such. But I think that's cool, kind of having the opportunity of just finding something and it being kind of out in the wild. So, some people say like collectors, and just finding that is such a cool element to it. And I love that you kind of put that together and saying that, he's dressed as a clown, but yet he's making fun of the main character, kind of clowning on him as well. So love that.
Exactly. So perfect. And I believe, like movies that like, Green Mask or many movies, things are supposed to happen, they happen. And then why they
Yeah.
become like, so I felt like I trust my guts, my instincts. Say this mask is the mask. That's great.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So now you've mentioned throughout July as well that you're going to be continuing on different fests too. What does Escalation have in line right now as far as for fests? Obviously nothing that's not released or revealed, but where's the tour bringing you next?
Is because I mean it's still early in 2020. I mean it's June, so there's still like more than half a year going, and I think
Sure.
even for 2023 it's still going. So July is all about the U.S. So Long Beach, Midsummer Scream, this horror convention festival in Long
Man.
Beach. Then it's gonna be Days of the Dead, just 1 week before Day of the Dead in Indianapolis, and then right after Days of the Dead, Houston Horror Film Festival, Texas. So I'm gonna just do this tour, 10 days, heavy touring of this festival, to meet the people and network and stuff. And then in August, I'm going to be brought back to Europe because I have the Ravenheart Film Festival and I think another big festival in Spain. And I'm trying, I mean, when I approach a movie, I think like film festivals for filmmakers are absolutely a must. You know, your short
Hmm.
film, sell it, maybe, it doesn't matter. You're like you're pretty, this is me. This is what I can do.
Yeah.
They help you so much. And the Friday Night Festival from Austria is also connected now. Hi
Yeah.
guys, hi Chiara. So I'm gonna tour them, you know, and take my time to be there, meet, you know, hopefully new fans and followers, you know, whatever, like other filmmakers, network, and build it because the horror community is also amazing. I've been
Yeah.
making so many friends, festivals, they go around with their show. There's so much passion, you know. You can tell the horror genre is doing great. It's gonna get better and better and better.
You know, and it was kind of along the lines earlier when I was mentioning with shorts, especially nowadays. There's been some shorts that I've seen, you know, within like the last 5 or 10 years, and maybe even some of the people that I've gotten to meet, you know, through here, but wouldn't have had the opportunity, you know, as far as or going to a festival and seeing. But there's been some shorts that I've liked better than some of the full length, you know, the bigger pictures that are coming out, you know, and just some of the things that are happening and the flourishing as far as the opportunity of different people and having their voice. I know some people, you know, post things just right on Vimeo, or they might have something that goes right to YouTube, or they go with festivals. And it's really cool to see, you know, kind of the bigger opportunity and even some of the festivals over, you know, the whole pandemic and the opportunity of being able to just stream something at home or pay for a ticket and being able to kind of, you know, take in different opportunities. It's awesome, man. And you mentioned Indianapolis. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get to that. I haven't seen what the dates are yet, but
Oh,
that's
wow.
not too, I'm in Michigan, so I'm not too far.
To 21 to 24 July. Man, if you're there, I'll love to
Oh,
meet
is
you.
it? Okay. Sweet. Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. I know, and I'd love to be able to see it in the theater too. That was something I was, you know, absolutely humbled to be able to catch it here at home, but seeing it in the theater for sure, that would be such a fun experience. Have you had anything of
like,
different people you mentioned someone you know, from the fest kind of mentioning that it was a little too over the top? Have you had, you know, fans that say like, you know, this just kind of pushed it too far. I don't know if I can see this one again.
the funny thing is like you know, because I have many friends, I say, hey Chris, you try to go to as many festivals as you can. Are you not tired of watching your film over and over? And I have to say I am a little bit tired, but the things that really makes it for me is the audience reaction.
The
When I'm
energy,
in
yeah,
the
for
dark
sure.
and they start seeing these things that happen and they go like, oh, whoa. That is, I'm so happy because, you know, all the suffering and the effort of me and my team, my friends that make it, it came, you know, through and we make it work. And
It's
the funny things
awesome.
like people say, yeah, of course, many people love it. Most of the people love it, even if it's
Mm.
extreme. Then there are like obviously those, you know, horror fans that are more like into psychological stuff, not too much visual intensity. So I
Mm.
like to say, I mean, some comments online, and I love them when I say, you know, Christian Bachini must have some personal issues and demons. Like oh, this like equals dead too, but it's not fun. Like it's like top, you know, like disgusting and disturbing. And I love that, you know, when any kind of reaction, positive or negative, means
uh,
work. The work people standing in a theater like this, not feeling anything. So
yeah.
or you me, I
You
mean
know,
anything.
but I have to disagree as far as, you know, some of the silliness. I feel like though it's not so in your face, it's not so Evil Dead with, you know, it being completely slapstick or kind of slapping yourself in the face, but some of like the panning like fast shots up to your face or kind of like the sweating of your forehead and you're kind of, you know, tearing around. I could definitely see that influence of that kind of Sam Raimi Evil Dead esque, you know, even before us having conversations and kind of talking about things. I could see that stuff, and I always love that. You know, it gives a good kind of blend, and it's really hard. You know, as far as having horror and comedy, it can go so south so fast. You know, it can completely not work, and I loved everything about this, man. You pulled it off, and it was great and such appreciated, dude.
Thanks, man. Horror and there are great horror comedies, you know, that work very nice. But you know, if you overdo it, it's very easy to ruin even a good story.
Yeah.
Some
Yep.
horror comedy be best being just a comedy or just a horror film.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, Sam Raimi is a great inspiration for me. Sam
Yeah.
Raimi, like
Absolutely.
of horror. Like
Yeah.
I from him, and you can see there is a lot of him in like even my camera work and stuff. And so I just try to go a little bit less than he did in Evil Dead 2, like
Hmm.
just tiny bits of like comedy, really that make you feel like okay, it's still funny enough, so you can keep going through the carnage and the
The
gore.
trauma.
And they merge pretty well. I'm happy to hear that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this has been so fun, man. I really appreciate this. I appreciate, I'm gonna have to go back and I've been trying to dig into your past catalog as well to kind of see some of your earlier work too. Digging into that, and I'm really excited for what you have coming next. But in the meantime, appreciating the time of what you have going right now. Escalation is awesome. Anybody that's available to see or to go to any of those fests, I hope that they check it out because this was so much fun, man, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you came on the radar and I got to meet you and do this because I am absolutely in love with what you're doing, man. So please keep it up because we need stuff like this.
Thank Bob racing to a feature film also enough. And now I have like a new short that I'm trying to pick off the ground, which is sci-fi
Awesome.
horror, which is like
Oh.
a spaceship and gore and this. It's crazy. If you like Escalation, the next after the people, these guys, it's crazy. So
Awesome.
having me,
Awesome.
and I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you love the film. So thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank
Absolutely. No, no, no. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for taking the time today. And we will keep in touch. And hopefully, I'll be seeing you in July, man. You take care now.
Bye, man. I look forward to seeing you.
Yep, for sure. All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.